Hello guys, and welcome back to another Bleach video. This time around, we're ranking the top 10 strongest characters, as it was the most requested vote on a recent poll. If you'd like to join the Bleach community so that your voice is prioritized, then click on the subscribe button to let the YouTube algorithm know you like the content, to get notified whenever I upload a video or have a poll in the community post. So let's begin by addressing the tier system we will use for our ranking. We will use the definitions used by the Character Stats and Profiles wiki page plus versus Battles wiki page to rate the Bleach characters I'm about to list, but not their established ranks since they might differ from ours by the end of the video. It should be noted that this isn't a who wins list. Characters from a higher tier are not necessarily invincible to entities of lower tiers, as certain powers and abilities can potentially bypass the difference in strength entirely, allowing the latter to contend with or overpower such characters. So don't expect me to use narrative implications to rate characters who don't have feats above characters who definitively can be rated on this tier list. For our scaling of feats from Bleach, we'll be guided by 3 terms that will be repeatedly used to rate the 10 strongest characters. The first and weakest term is an above Espada. The Espada were a group of villains who performed several feats. One of the best feats was performed by the 4th Espada, which has been calculated to be in the ranges of 258.5 for 9 penitents. A multi-continental feat. Hence, an above Espada must have the attack potency of at least multi-continental plus. So whenever you hear me call out a character to be an above Espada, you should be quick to pick up that I mean at least multi-continental. The second term I'll use frequently is pertaining an item known as the Sokyoku. This term is equivalent to the destruction of the Soul Society. On second thought, I think I'll use Soul Society level instead, since it's easier on the tongue. The item will still be used to scale some of the characters, so don't fret when you hear me pronounce it from time to time. Similar to the above Espada term, there exists also a calculation for the destruction of the entire realm of Soul Society. Taking into account only its surface features and assuming it stretches only as much as Earth's mass, as a lowball, the theoretical realm bust is equal to 1.26 quetiton. This is a dwarf star level feat, which applies to anyone who scales to the realm of Soul Society or the Sokyoku. The third and final term will be a dimensional tier. This will be used when necessary to rank the characters according to their respective feats. The dimensional ranking is applicable to some characters thanks to Aizen, who stated his transcendence into becoming an above Shinigami afforded him the opportunity to rank higher than third-dimensional characters. So any character who scales to transcendence in Bleach, the term I'll be using for the dimensional tier also scales to the 4th dimension, at the very least. The term will also be applicable to characters who can significantly affect a 4-dimensional construct. With everything I'll use to rank the top 10 strongest characters in Bleach being explained in detail, I hope you're also able to make your own list without bias that might match my list of characters. A side note before we start is that every one of the characters on the list is considered only in their prime. Number 10. Kenpachi Azashiro. A former captain of the Godai 13 that's considered to be in a league of his own by Shunsui himself. He appears in the novels and is an above Espada while using his Bankai. Upon using his Shikai, which is an unusual power-up from Bankai, he's capable of creating a spear that's more powerful than the Sokyoku. This easily means his attack potency should be at least dwarf star level in Shikai due to scaling above the destruction of Soul Society. There are characters who scale near to him due to narrative implications like Byakuya, plus other noble level characters like Ishin, Shihoin, and the likes of Cian Grants, Jin, and Tozen who are above the Espada. But due to lacking both Soul Society ending feats and their lack of interaction against him or other characters who scale near to or above him in his Shikai, it's fair to put him as the face of the lowest rank on the list. At number 9 we have Gremmy. Gremmy in his prime scales to his creation of a dimension containing a galaxy plus several stars and solar systems. Due to narrative implications, it's fair to place any member of the elite Sternritters or characters who fought them equally, like Shunsui, Unohana, Adult Toshiro, Aura, and Mayuri. But I believe none of them scale to his creation of a dimension that contains galaxies except for Jared and Toshiro. And even those special exceptions like Jared and Toshiro only rank that high due to their hacks, not destructive capacity, so they shouldn't outrank him, but be in his tier. Furthermore, Gremmy has a number of ways to increase his AP, which will help him keep up with Jared's hacks. Since this is a strength ranking video, I'll leave Gremmy at number 9 for now until we can get some more concrete feats from those two in the future before either of them can push him down to number 10 or replace him entirely. At number 8 is the Anime Squad Zero members. These guys were recently given a massive amp from their feats from the manga. Just one member releasing their Bankai will shake all 3 realms, and 2 members releasing at the same time will destroy all 3 realms. This should neatly have all 4 of them scale to at least universal, if not high universal, since universe level characters can significantly affect all of the physical matter within an observable universe at full power. The squad, except for Ichibai, has self-reported to be equal in strength, hence why they don't occupy more spots in the list, since none is truly above the other as of yet, so they'll have to share the rank of 8 as a collective. But they're only ranked individually to be at rank 8, not their combined power to be that low, so the people above them don't necessarily outrank their strength when combined. Some Bleach characters that can narratively scale here, despite lacking physical feats of similar strength, are Uryu and Jugram, who didn't feel the need to use their holy forms throughout the 1000-year Blood War arc. At number 7 is the first Kenpachi, Unohana. Throughout most of the series, Unohana had been but an observer who was present in all the biggest events and carefully rated her strength according to the feats performed by a lot of characters throughout the years. She knew about Kuruyashiki's powerful Bankai that could one-shot the entire Seratai and of the strength of Yami, the Zero Espada. Plus, she's the one who brought up the capabilities of Yamamoto's Bankai that could passively destroy the entirety of Soul Society. Thanks to her battling and no eye patch Zaraki, we know she scales above those feats, since Zaraki at the time was an above Espada who was equal to Vasto Lord Kurosaki in his eye patch, plus had fought as a Shiro whose Shikai Spear was more powerful than the Sokyoku which could destroy the Soul Society. But this only means in her base she should rank above as a Shiro with an attack potency above Dwarf Star level, which would be true if she also didn't have more scaling to rank her here. According to Yhwach, Zaraki in base at full power is a threat above Aizen and Ichibai, and in the first core he also believed he was above Kurosaki. This could be easily overlooked, except we know Yhwach knew of the fight and power Aizen and Kurosaki had gained during their transcendence in the fake Karakura Town fight. Aizen had transcended the 3rd-dimensional Shinigami and had become a 4th-dimensional being even while he was still in the Karakura Town. This is important because Unohana, who was present in Karakura Town, still considered her strength above that form of Aizen, and we know Yhwach felt Zaraki in base was also a threat above the 4th-dimensional Aizen. Furthermore, Aizen himself, as a transcendent character, was careful to not fight Zaraki due to his potential until he had gained his immortality. This should clearly prove both Unohana and full power base Zaraki should at least be equal to or above the 4th-dimensional version of Aizen, due to several statements about the two having rivaling strength. In the databooks, Unohana has equal offense and Reiatsu when compared to both Yamamoto and Aizen. This is further collaborated by canon statements from the novels, where Unohana is stated to not only be an above Shinigami, but 2 times above the Shinigami, something even a transcendent Aizen only admits to be once above the Shinigami. So this should mean Unohana in his prime should scale to the 4th or 5th dimension, making her attack potency be at least universal level plus, or at most be high multiversal plus. Now on to our number 6 on the list, the head Captain Yamamoto. Yamamoto has statements scaling him above base Aizen, who was an above Espada. He also can passively destroy the entirety of Soul Society while in his Bankai, which should scale him above Dwarf Star levels of attack potency. In the databooks, he has equal Reiatsu and offenses on Unohana, plus in his Shikai he's directly stated to be transcendent. While Unohana considers herself to have no peers in strength except for Zaraki, in the Databooks Yamamoto's power is stated to still be unsurpassed, so due to author's confirmation, he should be in the same tier as Unohana but above her in rank. At number 5 is Ichibei, the leader of Squad Zero. Ichibei is considered stronger than Korinji, who's equal to the rest of the members of Squad Zero. Ichibei is also ranked above the 4th dimensional Aizen according to Yhwach's list, plus has direct scaling above a Yhwach who could defeat Yamamururu. Now on to our number 4, Zaraki Kenpachi. When it comes to hacks and combat IQ, both Yamamururu and Ichibei can kill end-of-series Zaraki, yet when it comes to strength, he stands atop the Shinigami, as it's confirmed in the Databooks. After his fight with Yami and during his fight with Sien, he was an above Espada as he was equal to Vasto Lord while wearing his eye patch. By the end of the novel, he could scale above Soul Society by being above Azashiro, hence the only place he could be taught was in Muken, in infinite space. On top of this, he was ranked first, above Kurosaki as a war threat to Yhwach, and only demoted below Trushikai Kurosaki, which should put him firmly in the 5th dimensional tier, meaning his attack potency is at least high multiversal plus. This is further emphasized by the fact that he's stronger than a 2 times above Shinigami like an Unohana while in his base. Now on to our number 3, Prime Aizen. Even before becoming a transcendent character, he was stronger than the Espada. He's also confirmed to have more Reiatsu than the nobles like Tokunada, which should rank him above Azashiro and Soul Society. After becoming transcendent, he would scale above 3rd dimensional Shinigami, which would put him firmly in the 4th dimensional tier. After tanking the offense of fully merged Kurosaki, he would merge with his sword and proclaim he would surpass the 5th dimensional Kurosaki. This should mean in his prime he was at least 5th dimensional in attack potency. On top of this, he would show relativity to Prime Yhwach, who was far above the likes of Ichibei at that point. Still, his strength shouldn't necessarily be above Zaraki's uncontested strength, so his placing is interchangeable with Zaraki's since this ranking only compares their offense and not how they use it against each other. Number 2 is Prime Kurosaki. In his Vasto Lord form, he was an above Espada. During the Fullbring arc, he was comparable to Zaraki, who was above the likes of Azashiro and Soul Society. On top of this, after his Dangai training, he would surpass the 4th dimensional Aizen, and according to Yhwach, he would retain that strength in his True Shikai Horn of Salvation form. Kurosaki is also placed above Zaraki as a war threat, which should rank him above him at the very least, which should mean his attack potency is at least high multiversal plus level. And the number 1 strongest character in Bleach is Yhwach. Even while weakened, he was comparable to Bankai Yamamururu, which should scale him above the destruction of Soul Society, and after regaining his Almighty, he would surpass the likes of Ichibei and later Aizen after merging with the Soul King's Reiatsu. At full power, he could destroy all the realms in Bleach, including the Garganta and Muken, to recreate the primordial world where the concept of death doesn't exist. In terms of his attack potency, he should be extra-dimensional, which would mean he's at least 6th dimensional tier or complex multiversal level. And of course, the number 0 strongest character in Bleach is the Soul King. His mere body parts like Jared and Pernida can rival 5th dimensional characters like Zaraki in strength. His Reiatsu can amplify Yhwach into becoming an extra-dimensional character, and he's stated to be the closest being to omnipotence. His rotting corpse is capable of holding and creating the 3 realms of Bleach in place, so in his prime, he should be above all the characters we've seen so far, but Kon and Don. Well, this is my final ranking of the characters while taking into account their collective feats and statements from canon sources. If you have a different list than mine with different tiers, then I'd love to see it down in the comments section. Feel free to leave your suggestions down below as well, and don't forget to like and subscribe to help me create more Bleach content in the future. The list should remain the same even if you don't adhere to the dimensional scaling I've provided for the top 7 characters. A lot of scalers overlook the nuanced feats and statements in favor of their own biased assumptions of what constitutes the realms of Bleach. Still, everyone on this list scales above the destruction of the realm of Soul Society, and thus I'm confident with my ranking of all of them.